Yo, what up? It's Aaron Moses.
Welcome to Hood Wars.
This video is called A Middle Class African Joined a Criminal Organization and He Did Not Make It to His 20th Birthday. Let's get it. Shout out to Hood War Stories for this.
Stories. In this episode, I'll be discussing the life of Africa. Ezekiel Christopher.
He started at a young age. Before I start out with this video, man, I do want to say shout out to the C's, shout out to the V's, the TVLs, the GDs, BDs. I'm not from California. I'm not from Southern Los Angeles. I just want to make a reaction to this video, so don't take offense. RIP to this young man, and my condolences to his family and anybody who knew him or of him. Let's get it.
Millie was born on October 6, 1997. He got the nickname Africa because he was full-blooded Nigerian. He also went by Tiny J Stone. He grew up in a well-to-do family. His father was a businessman and his mother worked as a registered nurse. Although his roots was from Africa, his assimilation into Black American society was seamless, and he was fully embraced by the culture. Despite being raised in a strong two-parent household, Africa became more influenced by his environment when he was outside of the home, emulating the Black American kids he went to school with. Instead of the straight and narrow path pushed by his parents, Africa chose the street life instead. He would get put on and join the '89 East Coast Crips, an active and highly reputable East Coast set located in the Florence Firestone district. Up until the mid-2000s, they would be seen deep out at Washington Park. And after the six-pack and 11/8 East Coast Crips, they're arguably one of the most combative East Coast sets. Unlike the 5-9s and 7-6s, the 8-9s lost zero turf during their historic war with Florencia 13, and actually killed off Florencia's Easy Boys clique. Although Africa was technically from 8-9, he was often mistaken as a member of the 190 East Coast Crips, considering he stayed and went to school in the Delamo area. It could be argued he'd hang out and function with the 190s more than is put on set. The 190's turf is a sharp contrast from the 8-9's hood in the Florence Firestone district, located in the middle-class section of Carson. The 190's hood consists of large two-story homes, manicured lawns, backyard swimming pools, and expensive cars in the driveway. Out-of-towners would rarely think that this is a gang-infested neighborhood. As a member, Africa was fully...
That's what I never understood about my people. If he was so successful, if his people were well-to-do, I mean, I stay in LA, and things are not necessarily cheap, so it's easy, and Africans in Chicago do it too. Why do y'all want to stay in a dangerous neighborhood because it doesn't look like a third world country? Oh, when we are growing up, bro, yes, when you are growing up, we didn't even have a floor. We had to sleep in the ceiling. Like, I get it. You didn't even have a floor. You had to sleep on the ceiling, and it was dirt, and it was roaches and rats. But this is what's going to happen, bro. When you were growing up, there was no Crips. There's no Bloods. When you say Crip, I'm thinking bro, it wasn't that. When you say blood, I always think of diamonds, because that's what, when we are little, that's what we used to do. No, okay, I get it, I know. But, no, these neighborhoods, they don't look as bad. And they're a little bit more this, a little bit more that. But this is America. It's a little different. Yes, it's not Africa. It's a little different. Come on, bro. Chill out.
Activated. He went out
They
and
didn't know, but now
gangbang like he had something to prove, and constantly running phase at school. Africa was known for having hands. He upped his skills by training at a boxing gym in Lakewood. Africa was known for going around and taking flight on people, terrorizing anything in his way. The fighting evolved to shooting.
This nigga was Twitter famous. Come on, bro.
And taking flight on people.
Look at all these beautiful pictures. Look at all of this choreography. Look at all this photography. he was.
terrorizing anything in his way.
I'm not saying I believe this. I'm just saying that that's what it was put into the world via social media. Ain't nothing wrong with a little thing as long as the right people rolling. She rolling for Chris.
The fighting involved the shooting. He'd make visits to the gun range to perfect his aim. And after a couple test run missions, Africa began to up his rank. By 2016, his name rang bells, and he
in music videos.
stayed in the field with the gun. He had a particular disdain for Florissant 13 and Grape Street. He was mobile and tight with the 5-5 neighborhood Crips. It's alleged he got into a shootout with the 5 Deuce Hoovers while he was hanging out on the west side. After this incident, he would take to social media to diss them every chance he got. Throughout this period, Africa would constantly bump heads with his father, who didn't approve of his lifestyle.
Happy Thanksgiving! Happy Thanksgiving, Pop.
Outside of gangbanging, who didn't approve of his lifestyle.
Happy Thanksgiving! Happy Thanksgiving, Pop.
Outside of gangbanging, Africa was gifted athletically and shown his abilities on the football field.
Hey, bastard. He got it.
Ooh!
Unfortunately, he would let his gang life take over, so his football potential would never be reached. In the gang world, his name spread throughout the city,
cold.
and other top ranks took notice. One being Infant Nightmare from BPS, one of the top young gunners from that era. Even though East Coast and BPS are on opposite ends of the spectrum, they do not get along in the least bit, and there's a few murders between the two of them. So when Nightmare saw his opportunity to kill Africa, he took it. One night, Africa was hanging out in the rolling 40s. When Nightmare and 2 Blackstone members crept up, guns blazing. Africa was supposed to die that night, but another Crip wound up being shot in the face. Africa was able to evade the ambush. East Coast held Africa in high regard because he was always down to put in work. In 2016, this was at the back end of the East Coast Florencia War, and there were still bodies being dropped. One night, Africa was on a solo mission driving around Florence, looking for a F-13 to knock down. He drove past Holmes Avenue and parked up on B Street. Africa allegedly got out, spotted his target, and opened fire from about 20 yards away. The Florencia members immediately started shooting back, nearly killing Africa in their turf, causing him to retreat. Africa returned back to his set and reported back on his failed mission. He allegedly would end up dropping an F-13 member on a later date. Grape Street was next up on his shit list. The Grape Street Crips are a notorious black gang concentrated in the Jordan Down projects.
Damn. And wait a minute. How do y'all know all this? How did you figure this out? Oh, that's by over there? That's by Southgate? Okay. I used to work and over there, right there. How far is that from? It's not that close, but it's not that far. Okay. I didn't know it was that right there. Well, now I know.
No other gang has done the damage that East Coast did to Grape Street when their war popped off. East Coast went on full blitz mode. In 2017, the height of the war was over, but ill feelings were still there. Africa was a full enforcer on the Grape hate train, packing out members. Affiliates were getting the smoke too. One time, Africa threw a female out of his car and took her phone for playing 03 Greedo. Africa was getting active.
I don't know who Hood War Stories is, but he sounds a little biased, man. One time he even threw a bitch out the car because she was bumping on me. Like, come on, bro. Do you really believe this? I don't know. I never met him, but I don't think it's that. He could have just changed the song, or perhaps threw her phone out the window. But to throw her body out I mean, one time he like, come on, bro, cause he was playing what's that song by Old Three Greedo? He was playing Mafia Business, and he threw that bitch out the whip.
Time Africa threw a female out of his car and took her phone from playing O Three Greedo.
Oh, and took her phone. Okay, now that makes sense. Come on, bro. I don't know who this. All respect to dude. Hood War Stories. Cap. I think he capped, man.
Getting the smoke too. One time Africa threw a female out of his car and took her phone from playing O Three Greedo. Africa was getting active and banging on anything that wasn't in line with the coast. He allegedly ran up on Frosty the Snowman and the issue was pressed.
I call cuz a gerb. That's not funny. And again, I don't have any alliance with either one. It's just entertaining to me. Excuse me. And I actually am a small fan of, not a big fan, but a small fan of Frosty the Snowman. When I was on probation in 2000, I was on bond when I was like 19. So 2010, I had an affiliate, a female from Ohio that was in Chicago. She told me about Frosty. So I've been knowing about Frosty since 2010. And she said he had a big following in Ohio. So shout out to Ohio and Frosty the Snowman, man. Let's go. I don't know what gang he's in. Frosty, okay, well, that solves everything.
All of that pressure Africa was applying would ultimately lead to his demise. On the night of May 20th, 2017, Africa was contemplating on going out to a Jersey party that was being held in Carson. After being on the fence about it, he decided to go. At the party, Africa was deep with the Crips, and allegedly the opposition arrives. Allegedly the opposition didn't want any issues initially, but Africa went into full press mode, sparking off a physical altercation that would spill off into the streets. The enemies would flee, but returned shortly after and began shooting at Africa and the Crips. Africa was hit in the chest and he dropped on the concrete. His homie was also shot and he collapsed on the street. Africa was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead at 1:30 a.m. Initially in the report, the gunman was described as a black male in his early 20s. Rumors spread that either Nightmare or another member from BPS killed Africa, but it was confirmed that Nightmare wasn't even there that night. He tried to kill Africa on a different occasion. Sources close to
I don't think that's funny, but what? Imagine a nigga saying that. I didn't do it that day, but I did try to do him another day. What did this nigga say? I can't take you to jail for that, but I really want to. Like, come on, bro. This nigga said, yeah, this is
spread that either Nightmare or another member from BPS killed Africa, but it was confirmed that Nightmare wasn't even there that night. He tried to kill Africa on a different occasion.
Damn, nigga, you wanted that nigga to go to jail that bad? He didn't do it that day, but like, why would you even say that? You want this nigga to go to, yeah.
Sources close to Africa have said that it was allegedly Florencia 13 behind the murder. If you check Africa's Twitter X account, you can see his tweets describing the altercation at the party, sent out just moments before his death.
What is that? Long live Ish, Hawk, and Geo. I don't want to say that because I don't even know what that means. Oh, punching on the op.com. Yeah, okay, so that means he got in a fight. It looked like some derogatory stuff. You already know. Yo, bro, I'm not gonna say all of that either.
Tweeting to a friend that he smacked.
I could read. Hold on. How you felt on 2017. Yeah, this is some Chicago influenced. Yeah.
Opposition so hard he fell in the hood of a car, rolled off, and began running down the block. He then confirmed that they were Florencia 13 members.
Yep, some told me not to read that. Nope, I'm not gonna say that out loud.
Africa's family was very distraught over his murder, and apparently his mother would not allow any of his homies at the funeral. His body would end up being sent to Africa to be buried. Africa was well known in the city for his...
Bro, I'm not gonna be disrespectful. I'm gonna just say what I'm thinking is gonna be real. So, and I don't know their life. I just know that just from the Thanksgiving video, I could see that his dad was very disappointed in what he had going on. And the fact that he didn't want to be live streamed, and the fact that he was using social media in the way he was using it. That's why he was moving like that. He didn't want his face to be on there. He was very disappointed, and he seemed like he was very disappointed in how he was using social media. But listen to this, bro. When people pass away, transporting their body is not cheap, right? At the end of the day, you had enough money to send his remains to a different country. Not just a different country. I'm not talking about Mexico, Canada, Venezuela, Africa. Like I don't know how long it takes to get to Africa. 10, 12 hours on the plane? Bro, that's a one-time fee of like maybe, again, I don't know, I'm ignorant. 5 bands, let's just say. Bro, you couldn't have spent 5 bands to save his life before this even happened? You couldn't have did that? And shout out to the family, and I don't want any negativity at all. Because I'm not in the situation. I don't know everything that happened every day. But just like, I'm not gonna lie, bro. I had family members that were seeing that I was living a certain lifestyle. And I had life insurance policies out on me since I was like 17. Definitely. More than one. And I asked that same question, like, why couldn't you just prevent it? Or why couldn't you just do something, move differently? So, and I'm a parent, you know? And but I know America, and I'm not African, and I don't know their story. But I'm not putting a life insurance policy on my baby and trying to save money so I could live in this jacked up ass neighborhood in this city because I feel like it, and they don't target me. I could just tell my son to make better choices that I never had to make. No, bro. No. When you saw, and maybe they didn't have it at the time, but no, I wouldn't even care. We had to move to Alaska, and I hated it. As long as my baby is still here and I could reach him. That's so sad, bro. And I'm sure he probably was funny or something was good about him. I don't know. But damn, blessings to that young man and his family and everybody that he may or may not have harmed. And their family, I don't know. I wasn't there. But I'm sure he could have did it a lot better and affected this world in a more positive way. And it was just something could have been done, man.
Charisma and personality. He was described as very comedic and a ladies' man. And East Coast is still honoring his memory.
Yeah, baby, I got that fresh haircut and all of that. You see me? Neighborhood to the.
I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and
You
subscribe.
say the last video, you couldn't find nothing positive about this neighborhood to the. And shout out to the neighborhoods. I'm not trying to make fun of y'all, but that's not what I want. That's not the last things you play if you make a documentary about my son. Him saying some gang bang shit like that's. Come on.
This
Now
is
you
a
making- What is this?
no officer would ever forget. In the evening of February 7th,
Alright, I'm gonna do that next. But man, alright. I don't even know where to say R.I.P. to this dude or not, but shout out to all the Africans. I'm gonna just say it like that, man. Shout out to all the Africans, and my condolences to his family, and my condolences to anybody in the world. Peace, gang, Africa.